Well, hi, my name is Caleb Rogenthien, and I am the Assistant Director of College and Young Adult Ministries here at University. Today, I have two people with me who are going to give some of their testimonies while they were here in college, how the church impacted them as college students, and what that looks like for them now. So, if you guys wouldn't mind introducing yourselves and what school you went to.
Sure. My name's Parker Zimmerman. I'm one of the pastors here at University, and I went to the University of Texas at San Antonio.
I'm Albert Aguilar. I'm one of the assistants in student ministry. I also went to UTSA. Birds up.
Awesome. So I just had a couple questions for you guys, just to get to know you and your experience here. So when did you guys first start coming to this church, and what brought you here, and how did you get involved?
Mm-hmm. So I started coming out in college. I would come to university occasionally when I happened to wake up on time for service on a Sunday morning. And it wasn't until about midway through the spring semester of my junior year that I was kind of looking at my life and what I was up to and what I was doing. And I was thinking, I really genuinely missed the accountability of church and the community of church. And so I typed up a resume and I drove around United Methodist churches in San Antonio and just would hand out my resume basically asking, hey, if there's a summer job or if there's anything I could do to serve the church. I had interned at some other churches in college before this. And so that's how I got plugged in. I met Becky DeVore was the first person I met here at the church. She took my resume and said, it's a little late for this. We'll call you back if we have anything. And thank God she called me back a week later, and I interviewed and started interning the summer of 2010.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So I, similar to Parker, just kind of, I wasn't really, going to church super often, especially my freshman year of college. And then sophomore year, I got a random Facebook message from a guy that was working at the church I grew up in Uvalde. And he and I sort of missed each other. He was becoming the youth pastor as I had already left. And he just asked, kind of how things were going, if I was plugged in anywhere. And then he suggested that I come check out University. He had been here a little bit, and so that's how I kind of ended up here. I remember my first Sunday, I was talking to Rich Holden, trying to figure out where college stuff was happening, and so Rachel used to be Jacobson, now Mangum, was the one he instructed me to, and then she told me about the stuff that they were doing. So I went and met them, and then similarly after that, talked with Becky DeVore about helping out in student ministry. And the rest is history.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did the church support you as a college student?
Mm-hmm. So for me, one thing that I encountered in college is that everyone that I was talking to, everyone that I knew, they were all my age, right? They were all in that college age group. And so right out of the gate, getting connected with folks, I got connected with two groups, with students, middle schoolers and high schoolers, and then with their parents and other adult volunteers. So I almost overnight all of a sudden had this community of people around me that weren't just my age, like other interns, but were also people that I could be accountable to that were younger than me and older than me. And so from there, people were having me over for dinner, myself and the other interns. They were inviting us out to, if they had I remember days at lake houses and days where we'd go to Fiesta, Texas, and just families just kind of taking us in and seeing us as an extension of their own immediate family. It was amazing. And we were supported by the hospitality of this community. And the other thing for me that was really powerful was I had a great experience at my home church. I had an amazing home church in North Houston, but this was the church that sent me to seminary, that kind of set me down, and some leaders here told me about what that might be like, and they signed off on the paperwork. And so they not only supported me for my last year and a half of college, but sent me to seminary in Austin.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think for me that the big thing for me was getting plugged in with that college group. It was called Upgrade at the time. Student ministry was Uprising. There was a lot of up stuff. But yeah, that group was really important for me, especially where I was kind of definitely straying from the church my freshman year. I would really try to distance myself from church things because honestly, I felt like God was calling me into student ministry as I went into college, and I didn't want to do that. And so I got as far away as I could, and then this group kind of brought me back, and I met a lot of my close friends and people that really loved me well that were sort of my age. And then, of course, as Parker mentioned, there were always adults and families that were willing to have us over for things. And I remember when we were interning, we would like go to someone's house and watch wrestling. I'm super into WWE, so I like forced it on everybody. But we would just go and just be goofy and silly together. And those were times that I'll remember forever. So,
yeah. I know you guys dropped a couple names already, but who specifically made an impact on you while you were here?
So I think about the leaders within student ministry at that time, you know, Josh, Becky, Linda, Jack. You know, these are folks that I saw every single day when I was working here. The other interns I worked with Albert my second summer. I worked with Taylor Mooney, who still works here on staff at university. You know, these were peers that were figuring this out with me. You know, we were trying to learn how to be leaders in ministry, but also just how to grow in that weird season of life between being a kid and being a true adult, it felt like. And then the students, I mean, I so fondly remember like all these amazing students that I, you know, was able to befriend and learn from. And then, you know, now to come back to this church 10 years later, like I still imagine, when I was coming here, I still imagined a lot of them as like high school students, like they're getting married, having kids. So it's great. And some are still around here. So yeah, for me, it was that kind of community within university that was student ministry and the folks there. And then there are countless parents, which I already mentioned, like their parents that like I said, were so generous to like cook dinners for us and take care of us. So it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I first got here and started attending that group, Ruth and Tom Thompson were big just supporters of me in general, and they were kind of hosting that group that was meeting, and Ruth would cook us a home-cooked meal every week, and that was awesome because just, you know, college kids love eating and stuff like that. But also just the relationships I formed with the interns. You know, I interned 2 summers, and that first summer was real special, and we used to make jokes a lot about like how loaded and stacked that intern class was, but I mean, Parker just said it was me, Parker, Taylor, Kelly Fike, Charles Burnson, Callan Hearn, Kayla Messamore. Like we were just having a blast, and we were spending time with each other outside of all the student ministry stuff, and they were my family while I was you know, here for those summers. And then my second summer, I lived with the Rodriguez family. Amy used to work in the day school, and they had some students that had come up, but that family was instrumental in just growth for me and just helping me feel you know, loved and welcomed, not only to the church but to their family. So
yeah, that's awesome. Last question for you all. Why do you think it's important for the church to be involved with college students?
So for me, I kind of touched on this in some of the earlier answers, but the one of the many gifts that the church offers is it's a place where intergenerational relationships can happen. So it's a place where you can go to a Wednesday night dinner and be seated next to, you know, someone who's been alive for 80 years, and then you got an 18-year-old and an 8-year-old that aren't from the same household, that can all share a meal together, and learn from one another and talk and have this common uniting goal together to want to know Jesus and to follow Jesus. So that's just a gift that I didn't know that I needed it in college. I didn't know that I needed it in college until I got here, and then I recognized like how much I yearned for it. It's so easy in life to kind of get stuck in the momentum of just being around the people that are like you, that are your age, that are in your stage of life, and the church is a place where, you know, you get a fuller picture of like who is in the kingdom, right? It's more people, and so that was a huge thing for me coming here. Yeah, that's what comes to my mind.
Yeah, I think, you know, I still work in student ministry now, and so I get to kind of see the seniors as they're heading out, and a lot of them are, you know, excited, obviously. There's a lot of fun that comes with college, but there's also some of that nervousness of, I'm leaving home, and what's my community going to look like? And I think sometimes that can be really challenging. University is a special place. It's a special church, and I've got to see that firsthand. And it's hard to make those connections in other places. And so I think that being able to provide a place where college age students can feel loved and welcomed, and like they're a part of something, is super important. And as I mentioned, just for me personally, it was something that really kind of pulled me back into what God had planned for me. And he probably would have gotten me anyway, but having this church to help me with that was something that's really special. So I love that we're striving to have that support system for that group of students.
Yeah. Thank you both for spending time with me and getting to answer some questions and just hear your story of when you were in college. I think you guys are both testimonies to show that when people invest in college students' lives, like, they can stick around. And so if you want to get involved in serving in college ministry, or you want to just know what's going on in college ministry, I will be available on August 21st to kind of talk about that. After the 9:30 traditional service, I will be in the main office. And if you want to just know what's going on, I'd love to have a conversation with you. I will also be in the lobby after Modern's 11 o'clock service as well. And so I would love to get to know you, know what's going on with you, and just see where you want to be plugged in. So thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
Sure. Thanks, Caleb.
Yeah.